I'm Cherise Bria. Welcome to the Macro Tourism Bulletin News, bringing you the eye on the news for today. Although consumer behavior is one of the most researched areas in the field of tourism, few extensive reviews of the body of knowledge in this area exist. Consumer behavior involves certain decision activities, ideas, or experiences that satisfies consumer needs and wants. It is concerned with all activities directly involving obtaining, consuming, and disposing of products and services, including the decision process that precede and follow these actions. Consumer behavior remains one of the most researched areas in the marketing and tourism fields, with the terms travel behavior or tourist behavior typically used to describe this area of inquiry.
External influences. Our review now turns into a discussion of three external factors that we have identified as important contemporary influences on tourism consumer behavior: technology, Generation Y, and the rise of ethical concern in consumption decisions. These factors affect the tourism consumption landscapes as part and parcel of impacting upon decay conceptual approaches. Generation Y and ethical consumption emerge as notably under-researched influences on tourism consumable behavior. A total of 18 studies were included, and we discuss these three critical internal influences in turn, beginning with technology. Technology. Consumers use technology for many consumption-related tasks such as searching for information, buying and sharing options or opinions and experiences, and for entertainment purposes, such as number of technology by a growing number of consumers is perhaps more evident in product categories such as tourism. Therefore, effective tourism marketing requires a true understanding of how technology is developing and consequently shaping tourism consumer behavior. As the influence of technology on tourism consumption behavior builds, researchers are devoting considerable attention to this rapidly changing area. At present, tourists are able to access travel information and share travel experiences through a variety of technology mediated outlets of companies and destinations, social networking websites, and blogging and micro-blogging video sharing websites. As the volume of content in this outlet rises and display of information becomes more creative and user-friendly, tourists' reliance on online sources is likely to grow. Social media, for example, has developed into one of the most important influences on tourism consumer behavior. Technology. Consumers use technology for many consumption-related tasks such as searching for information, buying and sharing options or opinions and experiences, and for entertainment purposes, such as number of technology by a growing number of consumers is perhaps more evident in product categories such as tourism. Therefore, effective tourism marketing requires a true understanding of how technology is developing and consequently shaping tourism consumer behavior. As the influence of technology on tourism consumption behavior builds, researchers are devoting considerable attention to this rapidly changing area. At present, tourists are able to access travel information and share travel experiences through a variety of technology mediated outlets of companies and destinations, social networking websites, and blogging and micro-blogging video sharing websites. As the volume of content in this outlet rises and display of information becomes more creative and user-friendly, tourists' reliance on online sources is likely to grow. Social media, for example, has developed into one of the most important influences on tourism consumer behavior. Siang and Gritso 2010, technology provides a platform for not only sharing information but also a tourist experiences between consumers. Social media is already used at all stages of the holiday cycle, before, during, and after the trip. Not surprisingly, evaluates how how various social media are influencing tourism consumer behavior, on the impact of online hotel reviews on consumer choice, on the usage of online reviews and on user reactions to travel blog recommendations. Recently, research shows that the reputation arising from e-work behavior impacts on important organizational performance variables such as price. Well, therefore, tourist organizations can benefit from a greater understanding how social media is affecting the way they are perceived by consumers and how such perceptions impact on tourist choices and behavior. The abundance of tourist information brought about by technology may result in consumer information overload, a phenomenon that has received inadequate attention in tourism. Ultimately, the analysis of how technology influences tourism consumer behavior will require sustained efforts as technological developments, and the ways in which consumers deploy such developments continue to evolve. From a methodological point of Generation Y, a shift in generational dominance is supported as underway as the generation referred to as Generation Y. At least in parts of the Anglophonic world, is gradually replacing the baby boomer and Generation X cohorts in the workforce and becoming the primary source of visitors for some destinations and tourism attractions. For marketers in general, this suggests the rise of a significant segment with substantial purchasing power that needs to be catered for. Daisy Rileteo, Macro Tourism Bulletin News.
Most important conceptual dimension of tourism consumer behavior is the decision making. According to Swarbrick and Horner 2004, understanding consumer decision making is a cornerstone of marketing strategy. Consumer behavior in tourism is underpinned by general assumption about how decisions are made. The processes involved in decision making require the use of models rather than definition alone to understand their complexity. Tourism consumer behavior overwhelmingly studies as if the travel decision making process takes place independently of other consumption decisions. As travel becomes a frequent purchase for some and is increasingly part of everyday life, further examination of the routine aspect of travel decisions are required. When both new and previously visited destination or travel products consumed are involved, the habituated aspect of tourist decision making and its implication for tourism marketing are in urgent need of research. Consumer values largely guide actions, attitudes, emotion, judgment, and behavior. The tourism literature focuses on two types of values: instrumental, external, and terminal, internal. Instrumental values are object-directed and are based on knowledge of the object, such as goal, experience, or situation. Terminal values are directed towards classes of objects rather than specific objects in themselves. Values. Rocage 1973 said that a value is an enduring belief that a specific mode or conduct or end state of existence is personally or socially preferable to an opposite or converse mode. In the marketing field, values are seen to influence the behavior of consumers with respect to choice of product, categories, brands, and product attributes. Motivations, choice of tourist destination, and experiential value of a holiday are linked to consumer values in tourism. Cha?
Yes, Trisha. We know that is a universal topic and discussion. Without further ado, how the situation of consumer behavior in the Philippines? We don't need to go further. How is it, Trisha?
Filipino buyers are known for its unique buying routine as a way of life. A clear manifestation of that is the Filipino consumers can knowledge of the products and services that are being offered. The Filipino buying behavior is influenced by the various factors such as family, friends, relatives, and colleagues. A lot of malls and shopping centers across the metropolis continue to serve the general public regardless of its class in society. Entrepreneurial mentality was also introduced in the Philippine market today, which showcased Filipino inventions and discoveries. The buying decisions of typical Filipino buyers are also dependent on their budget to some extent. The recent global financial crisis has somehow influenced them to think of buying more durable products which they measurement problems. The multicultural influence in the Philippines hope can last for a lifetime. Finally, the products and services will be tested based on the Filipino consumer buying habits as they capture their buying power in general chat.
Thank you, Tisha.
Motivation as one of the conceptual dimensions of consumer behavior. Motivation receives a great deal of attention from tourism academics, given its importance in marketing decisions such as segmentation, product development, advertising, and positioning. According to Yoon and Oisal 2005, motivation is perhaps best described as psychological and biological needs and wants, including integral forces that arouse, direct, and integrate a person's behavior and activity. These are certainly worthwhile future areas of inquiry, along with the mechanism of how motivation stimulates actual behavior. Cyril Monsanto, Macro Tourism Bulletin News. Self-concept and personality. It is well accepted in the marketing field that consumers patronize products and services with images congruent to their self-perception. The self-concept or personal identity of an individual refers to the totality of his or her cognitive beliefs about her or himself stated by Byrne, Kassen, and Phil 1999. In the field of consumer behavior, self-concept is viewed as a multidimensional construct integrating self-identity with social and aspirational aspects in the individual's self-description. Accordingly, self-concept is measured using 4 dimensions: real self-image, ideal self-image, social self-image, and ideal social self-image to explain and predict consumer behavior. Personality is certain persistent qualities in human behavior that lead to consistent responses to the world of stimuli surrounding the individual. In fact, personality is thus viewed as one part of a person's self-concept. It remains one of the encompassing concepts in consumer behavior, likely having an influence on the decision-making processes, purchase behavior, product choice, attitude change, perceptions of innovation, and risk-taking, among many others. In tourism, personality is a determining factor of tourist motivations, perceptions, and behavior. Measurement of personality mostly focuses on specific traits such as venturesomeness or extraversion and neuroticism, rather than the full use of well-established scales such as the International Personality Item Pool and Lexicon. Lexicon model of personality structure summarizes human personality characteristics in terms of 6 dimensions or factors: highly humility, emotionality, extraversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, and openness to experience. The most researched personality trait is sensation-seeking in the context of recreation and adventure experiences. Personality traits are also investigated as an antecedent of brand identification and tourist emotions. Cyril Monsanto, Macro Tourism Bulletin News. Ethical consumption, a key trend influencing travel behavior, at least within parts of more affluent nations, is a rising tide of concern over the morality of consumption. Understanding the motivations and attitudes for ethical consumption offers opportunities to differentiate and position brands successfully. Ethical consumer behavior refers to the decision-making, purchases, and other consumption experiences that are affected by the consumer's ethical concerns. Ethical consumption is set apart from other interests in consumer research by its overt socio-political nature, in which there is a growing conviction among some people that consumption in affluent economies needs. Ethical consumption is an under-examined dimension of CEB, with much of the research in this area having focused on fair trade products, but also on boycotts and how sustainable consumer behavior may be encouraged, such as through social marketing. The primary barrier for proponents of ethical consumption-seeking positive behavior change is the so-called attitude-behavior gap, in which consumers attest to caring about ethical standards in their consumption practices, but few reflect these standards in their actual purchase decisions.
Consumers feel a service provider should offer rather than what they would offer. For example, efficacy expectation is the conviction that one can successfully execute the behavior required to produce the outcome, while the outcome expectation refers to a person's estimate that is a given behavior that will lead to certain outcomes. Predictive expectations define a condition in the customers of what is likely to happen during an pending transaction or exchange remain the most widely applied in tourism but are heavily criticized in the service marketing literature for their deficient ambiguity. Predictive expectation defined as predictions made by customers of what is likely to happen during an pending transaction or exchange remain the most widely applied in tourism but are heavily criticized in the services marketing literature for their deficient ambiguity. Expectation may be unmet, exceeded, or made during service delivery. According to the expectancy theory, a travel experience that meets or exceeds tourist expectations will be remembered positively. According to Face, 1933 discrepancy theory, despite being heavily critiqued, suggests that the differences between the perceived outcomes a person receives and the expected outcomes determine satisfaction. Notable omissions in the tourist expectation literature include studies investigating the stability of tourist expectations over time, the psychological process through which expectations are fulfilled in the destinations or at the point of service delivery, and the role of influence of factors such as information processing, service atmosphere, age cohort, example is Generation X versus Generation Y, and tourist personality on the expectation formation. Attitudes. Consumers' attitude as an integral part of the marketing environment that can enhance or curtail marketing activities. As stated by Aitchison and Fishburne 2000, attitudes are generally understood as a person's degree of favorableness or unfavorableness with respect to a psychological object. It is a learned behavior and a function of the consumer's perception and assessment of the key attributes related to a particular object. Studies of consumers' attitudes in the tourism literature address a diverse range of issues, such as the post-trip attitude change towards hosts, attitudinal differences towards maintaining across local customers of different nationalities, anti-tourist attitudes among self-identified travelers, attitudes towards the climate impacts of the long-haul air travel amongst Norwegian consumers, cross-cultural evaluations of souvenir cultural textile products, and the attitudes of air travelers to using registered travelers' biometric system. Additional work in tourism is needed on the impacts of emotions and mostly attitude condition, as effective states are shown to color evaluative judgments such as satisfaction, destination or brand loyalty, and personal involvement of consumers. Furthermore, consumers' behavior research in tourism should aim to contribute back to the wider consumers' behavior and social psychological literature on attitude, behavior relations, as the effective elements bound up that's based on economic tourism perceptions are of significance for broader consumptions and human behavior modeling. Perceptions. Skiffman and Canoe, 1997. Consumers typically perceive what they are expecting. This is usually based on familiarity, previous experience, values, and motivations. Accordingly, perceptions remain one of the most inclusive concepts in marketing. Studies of perceptions are abundant in tourism. However, few define or discuss the concept of perception before employing it. Perceptions. Skiffman and Canoe, 1997. Consumers typically perceive what they are expecting. This is usually
satisfaction is viewed as a central civic construct. The extent to which consumers are satisfied influences future organizational performance in the form of, for example, profits, market image, and market share. Researching satisfaction and its mechanisms, marketers can obtain valuable information they can use in their attempt to influence satisfaction either through strategic decisions such as segmentation and targeting or through manipulation of the marketing mix. Three mental processes also called heuristics or antecedents of satisfaction, as favored by tourist satisfaction researchers. For a discussion of all heuristics, this confirmation of expectations, performance, and equity. Expectations include comparisons of satisfaction across a number of tourism services such as attractions, immigration, and transportation, across different destinations and across varieties of the same product such as the level of difficulty of ski slopes used. Results tend to show differences across groups, validating the need of marketers to consider the specific characteristics of each segment when managing tourist satisfaction. As much less researched areas, priority should be given to the study of satisfaction across sectors and products or destinations. Trust and loyalty. Trust is perhaps the single most powerful tool available to building relationships with customers. There is no enduring consumer loyalty without trust. Trust, a willingness to rely on an exchange partner in whom one is confident. In marketing, that is conceptualized as having two major components, confidence and reliability, and is significantly influenced by customer satisfaction. Trust evolves through a dynamic process of exceeding consumer expectations and repeated satisfaction over time, and therefore plays a central role in determining loyalty and future behavior. In tourism, many studies draw from the marketing conceptualization of trust in investigating its key antecedents and the consequences. Customers' purchasing behavior. Customers' behaviors are strongly associated with a degree of trust in the product and service. Thus, trust is viewed as either an attitude or belief or as a behavioral intention. Recent studies examine trust, whether technology itself, example given is the internet, and specific aspects of that technology, example given is websites and online reviews, are objects of trust. Yet, unlike the marketing literature, the tourism literature is underdeveloped on cross-cultural formation of trust. Antecedents of trust such as service quality, consumer values and relationship duration, and market orientation of tourism firms. The impact of technology deployment and tourism and hospitality businesses in consumer and supplier trust, and consequences of trust such as perceived risk and brand or destination attachment. Second, given that tourism experiences are emotionally laden, several important antecedents such as brand personality, brand affect, perceived justice, conflict handling, perceived risk, personal involvement, and consequences such as destination or brand market share remain to be tested. Daniel Verdon, Macro Tourism Bulletin News.
Many things can affect consumer behavior, but what are the most frequent factors influencing consumer behavior, Daniel?
Jack, according to OmniConvert, the most frequent factors influencing consumer behavior are first, as marketing campaigns. Marketing campaigns such as Facebook ads for e-commerce can even be used as reminders for products and services that need to be bought regularly but are not necessarily on customers' top of mind, like insurance, for example. A good marketing message can influence impulse purchases. Second is the economic conditions. For expensive products, especially like houses or cars, economic conditions plays a big part. A positive economic environment is known to make consumers more confident and willing to indulge in purchases irrespective of the financial liabilities. The the consumer's decision-making process is longer for expensive purchases, and it can be influenced by more personal factors at the same time. Personal preferences. Consumer behavior can also be influenced by personal factors, likes, dislikes, priorities, morals, and values. In industries like fashion or food, personal opinions are especially powerful. Of course, advertisements can influence behavior, but at the end of the day, customers' choices are greatly influenced by their preferences. If you're vegan, it doesn't matter how many burger joint ads you see. You're not gonna start eating meat because of that. Group influence. Peer pressure also influences consumer behavior. What our family members, classmates, immediate relatives, neighbors, and acquaintances think or do can play a significant role in our decisions. Social psychology impacts consumer behavior. Choosing fast food over home-cooked meals, for example, is just one of such situations. Education levels and social factors can have an impact. Purchasing power. Last but not the least, our purchasing power plays a significant role in influencing our behavior. Unless you're a billionaire, you will consider your budget for making a purchase decision. The product might be exotic. The marketing could be on point, but if you don't have the money for it, you won't buy it. Segmenting consumers based on their buying capacity will help marketers determine eligible consumers and achieve better results. Chat?
Yes, thank you, Danieline.